All right, hopefully every episode you listen to of the Do Hard Things Today podcast gives you some value. But sometimes I believe we have episodes that can truly be transformational for you. And we're going to be talking about something that is a pretty simple thing, but I think if you implement it and you get this down, it can truly change your life. That sounds pretty serious, doesn't it? We got Coach Katie over there, as always, our co-host. Sounds pretty serious.
It is serious.
It is serious. Jed, we're talking about Jed Blackwell's always over there doing it, whatever he does with all the buttons and things he pushes, but he's the one that produces this thing and makes it sound good for everyone out there in whatever land you're listening to this in.
I think button punching monkey I'll tolerate.
I'll take that.
That'll be close enough.
Yep, that will work. So we are going to be talking about a morning routine. Morning routines. You see all kind of things out on the internet about you got to get up at 4 o'clock. You got to get up at get up at 5 o'clock. No, don't worry about that. Just do this. Or first thing in the morning you need to work, whatever it may be. We're going to hopefully change your thinking up a little bit, let you look at this in a certain way. And Coach, I want to go to you because you had some really good notes on this. And so let's start with the why. Why is a morning routine important?
Well, your morning routine is important because it sets the tone for your whole day, and it allows you to kind of move through your day without a lot of interruptions if you set yourself up correctly. And by this, I mean really being prepared. You think about when you send your kids off to school, you want to make sure they have their backpack packed, they have the right clothes on, they have their lunch, they have everything they need to be successful for the day, hopefully, when you send them out the door. But I think as adults, we tend to kind of forget about doing that for ourselves. And the one thing when I was doing the research for this podcast, I was just baffled by how many things they were saying you need to do in the morning, and they're all good things. One of the lists I read, and I did put it in the notes, which I did see you printed out, which I think was like 15 pages. Sorry about that. But the reason why it was 15 pages is there were enough things on that morning to-do list that would take me all day. And so I'm reading this and I'm thinking, okay, this is not realistic. This is not where I'm going to live. I'm not doing all these things in the morning. Did you look at it and think the same thing?
Yeah. She printed off 15 pages. Well, I printed off 15 pages. Did not know. That's when you always check how long something is before you print it. Just a little side tidbit there. But yeah, I think you're right. And as I research this, and you start looking at list of ideal morning routine. Well, number one, there's not an ideal morning routine that cookie cutter fits every single person. But my goodness, there are a million things out there, and you've got a lot of them on this list of potential ones. So when people, and I would venture to say most people, and if most people listening to this podcast are usually going to be people that are trying to improve their life in some way. They didn't just, hey, I want to just go listen to this podcast just for an strict entertainment value, even though sometimes we are entertaining. How do you sort through all this? Okay, you've got 15 pages of notes.
Right.
So how do you sort through this, and how do we help people determine why a morning routine is important and what that should look like for them?
Right. So the first thing, like after reading everything that I did, I was like, oh, forget the morning routine. I mean, there was just so much information out there and so many things, and it would take all day. I'm like, okay, none of this is working for me. And so then I started thinking about it. I'm like, what makes the difference in your day? Like, what is going to drive my morning? Well, what's going to drive my morning are what my personal goals are. Like for me, my personal goals, what's really important to me? Well, like making sure that all the athletes I coach have what they need, or meeting with them. And then the other thing that's important to me is my health and my fitness and my workouts. So those kind of take priority in the morning. But before any of that happens, I have to take care of my home life. And so I'm like, okay, you've got all these, kind of contradicting responsibilities or things that need to be done. And so in order to make your morning routine work, you have to know, like, what do you need? If you need to get up and do your workout before you do anything else, because whatever you do first thing in the morning, that's probably going to get done. The further down that list you go, the more opportunity you have for things not to happen. And that's where the problems kind of start happening for 90% of people, I would say. You know, if you're like, oh, I'm going to do this, 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 and this, and then I'll exercise, they might never get to exercising. So, I mean, I think, first of all, you have to kind of set the boundary, like, what is really important to you every morning? Then, what has to happen? Like, what are things? Like, I have to get my kid ready for school in the morning. That's a non-negotiable. Okay, so we have the two things that I want to do and things that I have to do. And then kind of like base your list on that. How about you?
Yeah, I think I make a really good point with the things that you want to do and things you have to do. I think where we get into trouble, and especially, you know, if you listen to this and you're having to get kids up for school and those kind of things, we all know there's like some hard times on that. Like for me, you know, for our family, 6 o'clock is when we wake the kids up. Okay, that's when we get them up. That's the time they need to be able to. So then what I have to determine is, okay, how much am I willing to get done before 6 o'clock? Before that I'll wake them up, you know, what needs to get done? And just for instance, and it is, I have really refined mine. And here's, I wrote down 3 words, say before the noise. Okay, when the noise of your day starts, and that noise comes in a lot of different ways. It comes from the second those kids get up, and they're moaning and groaning about getting up, and I don't want to get up. I mean, that's, you go through that for 10 minutes of your morning. But then and we're going to talk about this, saw this later in the notes, but you check your emails, your social, all these things are that is when, and that's one of the things that I'm going to talk about whenever we get to it is what are the boundaries I've placed on that as far as the time frame of what has to get done before that happens. Because once that noise starts in, it doesn't. So I did something. So I've changed my routine to where I'm getting up earlier than I was.
What's earlier?
4 o'clock.
Okay.
So if you're getting up any earlier than 4 o'clock, I don't know what to tell you. You're really not going to sleep. But
4 o'clock is reasonable.
But what I would say is a morning routine does not start in the morning. A morning routine starts the day before.
Oh, I'm going to disagree.
Well, I was hoping you would, because it's an opportunity for me to prove that sometimes I'm right and she's wrong. Here's why. If you're going to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and that's going to be your routine, and here's why that's important for me. So if 6 o'clock is that deadline, then usually I have, one of the things that I'm doing is some kind of a workout, and it can be anywhere from 50 minutes to an hour and a half. Well, if I'm not starting that by 4:30, then I do not have time to get that done. If I'm going somewhere to get that done, come back and be there at that starting point, which I've said at 6 o'clock is a drop dead date that I've got to be available for the family. So in doing that 4 o'clock, when the alarm goes off, I've got to get up, and we talk about routine things and habits. I've got a big thing of water right beside. The second that alarm goes off, even if I'm going to just sit in the bed for a couple of minutes and just get my thoughts together, I take a huge drink of water, probably 12 to 16 ounces, just to get it in my body.
Great habit.
And then I've already got my clothes laid out. All this happened the night before. And I've had to reduce where I don't want to delve into this too far, because you know how we can get in these rabbit holes. But we talked about we talked on previous pod about the 5-year plan.
Oh, yeah. And
those kind of things. I hit on something on that. I'm not going to, this is just a little tidbit, because we're going to do a whole podcast on this. But I wrote out mine in these things, where I say things like this: I am the kind of man that, and then whatever it is.
That's how you wrote it out?
That's how I wrote it out, because it and it is one of those is like for this morning routine. And yeah, you give me that look, but it's,
No,
you're gonna like it.
I find it interesting.
I'm the kind of man that gets my day started at 4 o'clock in the morning. May not mean anything to anybody.
That's what you wrote down.
No, it's one of the things I wrote down.
Okay.
It's one of the things that I wrote down that is a part of the routines that are a part of my life.
Okay.
Now, again, there's a lot to that conversation.
Definitely. Okay, let's stay away from that conversation.
So we're going to stay
right
away
now.
from that conversation. But one of the things that go back to the day before, and I've established a 9 o'clock where there is nothing with a screen coming into my body after 9 o'clock the night before.
That's great.
And that's another, I'm not going to say I'm the kind of man that, but when I say going back to the day before, I've also had to stop my caffeine intake as I sit here with a big Yeti full of coffee. 2 o'clock, not a drop of caffeine goes into my body after that, so I can wind down. And then the 9 o'clock period when I am in the bed and sleep, so I can get the amount of rest that I need. So at 4 o'clock, that starts.
Okay, so you're telling me that you're in bed at 9 o'clock every night?
I'm saying that at 9 o'clock, there's no more TV, no more phone, no more anything is coming into my body. And then I am in the bedroom, laying down. Usually what I'll do is I will read for 15 or 20 minutes.
Yeah.
That kind of calms your mind down a little bit.
I agree.
And lights are off. And hopefully by 10 o'clock, then I'm in La La Land.
So, I mean, you've got how many kids living at your house?
3 currently. Over Christmas there will be 5.
Okay.
Again.
So how do you are they all home by 9 o'clock?
They are, well, the oldest one that is living there is not all home. They're not all home by 9 o'clock. Now my significant other has not adopted the 9 o'clock, and I think so. There's a lot of times I'll be asleep before she is.
Right.
And our oldest that's still at home, sometimes she won't be home by 9 o'clock, but it's what I'm doing.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's great. Like last night, I just was exhausted, and so I was like, "Hey, the kitchen's closed. Hey, I'm done." I went in the bedroom. I shut the door. It was 9 o'clock, a little before, but boy, did I have fun this morning. Because I shut the door and left whatever was in the kitchen, and there was still food out this morning when I got home, and or got up and went in the kitchen. So that wasn't really a nice surprise. I don't typically leave the kitchen like that. But so, I always just try to finish everything up before I go to bed, which is terrible because I keep getting in bed later and later and later. And like you, I get up at 4 because 6 o'clock is the time of the morning when you got to get going. So basically, you've got that time between 4 and 6. What are you going to do with it? How are you going to use it? Now, that said, both of us like to get up early. Like you get up early, I get up early because it works for our life. After the kids, my one child is up and out, after your kids are out, then you kind of start your work day or travel to work or whatever you need to do, which is the same for me. I'm not looking at that as then free time once my child has gone to school. And so I just feel like some people, though, might not want to get up at 4 o'clock. So their routine might start at the same time when their kid gets out of bed. If
True.
they have kids. And so I just think that
I'm going to argue, though,
that they should get up early.
I'm going to argue that there is no time. Like I walked out, I was running in an indoor track this morning.
This morning you did the indoor track too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, today's Wednesday. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I was running and I walked out, and when I got out to the parking lot, I looked around the parking lot and I was done with my hour workout, and there was still not a soul in that parking lot.
Doesn't that feel good?
It feels awesome.
Yeah.
And not just because you puff your chest out and you feel good about it. Hey, you know what? I had the discipline to get up and make this happen. It was important enough for me to do it. Here's the bigger piece, though. The bigger piece is not just how it makes you feel. It is there is no time that is uninterrupted like those early morning hours. The noise starts when that 6 o'clock comes, and then 7 o'clock,
it's over.
And then 8 o'clock. That noise is coming. And how many people are disciplined enough not to pick up that phone and start dealing with the noise that's out there?
Well, that's another topic.
Well, that's another topic for another day.
But I agree. I mean, I think mornings are the time when nobody is scheduling a meeting with you at 5 o'clock in the morning or 4:30 in the morning. And that's why that is your time. You own that time. I also always look at it when I get up that early. I'm like, I did not get up this early to do anything other than what I need to do what needs to be taken care of. That's what I'm here for. I don't want to look at the phone. Don't touch the phone. Like, turn off the alarm if that's what you use for your alarm. But honestly, I feel like it's better just to use a regular alarm clock, or I don't really need an alarm clock. I just kind of wake up because that's when I wake up. But touching your phone, that's a time suck right there. And so we'll talk about that more later. But your morning is your time to make your day happen, get your exercise done, or whatever's important to you. And one of the examples in some of the research I did yesterday, they were talking about, like, if you want to be a writer, get up in the morning and write. That's when you're most creative. And I thought that was really interesting because I don't necessarily feel overly creative first thing in the morning, but your mind does function better after you've had sleep.
Yeah.
Here's something that I can speak on finally.
Oh, Jed, please.
I don't agree with that at all.
Really?
I do it now. I have joked with Kevin before that the days I come into the office, he loses 2 hours of productivity from me because it's 45 minutes over here and 45 minutes home. And if I'm working from home, I work from the time Bonnie gets up till the time she gets home.
Right.
Those extra hours are built in.
Right.
But as a professional writer for 25 years, I have always done my best work between 9 p.m. and 1 in the morning.
So.
Always.
And thank you for that, because part of the research that I read was talking about that some people do not function well in the morning. They are not productive. They're not creative. You can force it.
Yeah.
But if your time to shine is from 9 p.m. till 1 a.m., if that's when you just are most productive and creative, you shouldn't fight that. Right. You should plan for it. Like, know that you are not going to have a magic morning.
Right.
I mean, you can still have a routine that's productive in the morning, but it might not be work related or creativity related.
I split it now. I've scaled back that 1. So 9 to 11 is when I work on long-term stuff and creative projects, and usually 7 or 7:30 in the morning until about 9:30 is when I do deadline-oriented writing, because I love being up in the morning. I don't like getting up in the morning, if that makes any sense at all. I see the value in everything that y'all are saying. I would rather die than set an alarm clock for 4 o'clock.
But that's really important for people to know that, I mean, from the way I see it, you're very productive. You've done lots of great work. Yeah. You do what you love and you get the work done. But it looks different than how I would do it.
Right.
And it's based on your goals, like what you need to have done from a professional standpoint. Or, I mean, like, let's face it, it's safe to say you enjoy writing.
Right. Well, and for years and years, people say, do you work first or second shift? And my answer was yes. I do office work from about 8 o'clock in the morning. I probably taper off around 2. Mm-hmm. And then assignments start around 5:30 or 6. Most of the time, if you've got especially if you got like a basketball doubleheader, if you've got girls and boys, that starts at 5:30 or 6. You're home by 9:30 or 10. You write it. Now it's 11:30, maybe 12, and you got to wind down.
Right.
Football season on Friday nights, I'm usually still awake at 2:30.
Wow.
And then up on Saturday morning by 7:30.
But I think what's important here is that you're successful with what you do, and your schedule looks completely different than what Kevin.
Oh, absolutely.
And I kind of shoot for our 4 a.m., but our goals are also different. I mean, I'm not going to a football game at night and staying up late, but I see where for you that was necessary. And that's why what I said to begin with is what your goals are going to kind of determine what your routine is in the morning. So like for Jed, your routine in the morning, it might be get up, take your shower, shave, and have a cup of coffee. It might be different.
And I think both. I think 4 to 6 for y'all and 9 to 11 or 10 to midnight for me are equal because they're both largely decompression and getting ready for what's next.
Right.
Yeah, and I think you got to look at those. What are the things you have to do?
Right.
And then those things that you have to do. It's like in the mornings. I know. See, it's like when I look at the mornings, that 6 o'clock time is it's that line of demarcation. It's that line that once that comes, then it's kind of Katie bar the door. It's making sure they're up. It's okay. Are lunches going well? Are breakfast prepared? Is everything ready for the day? All these things going on.
It's a flurry of activity.
Yeah, it's
there's no like, oh, let me sit here and drink my coffee. I mean, one of these things on the research I did, it was like, have your coffee and relax. And I'm like, okay. I'll do that maybe like on my second break after everything, child is to school and everything's kind of calmed down. But that's not like my go-to in the morning. I mean, it's nice. And also they recommend meditation in the morning. Meditation is one of those things where it can, you hear meditation. How long do you think meditation should take? Did you read the notes? Don't.
I didn't read your notes,
good.
But I have researched this.
Okay, so how long do you think meditation should take? Like I'm talking like a you and me kind of meditation, not a yogi.
About 5 minutes.
Okay, 5 minutes for me would be phenomenal. I'm good if I can do 2 minutes of really focusing on meditating.
And let me define meditation for me. And people define it a million different ways. I think meditation is getting in touch with it is slowing down. It is stopping the noise. And for me, the meditation piece goes right along with, I always talk about those 4 F's that I think you got to have right: fitness, family, finances, and faith. And I use the meditation piece as a piece of my faith journey, which is, and it comes to, people's like, well, I talk to people like in men's groups, and I was like, well, what is meditation? That's not for me. I'm like, no, listen, meditation in that piece is, okay, we really don't have a hard time talking to God, but we have a really hard time listening to God. Okay, if like part of my routine is I'm going to take in scripture. I'm going to read or listen to some kind of, and we're not turning this into a spirit. I'm just telling you what my journey is on that. Of I take in some kind of scripture. I take in some kind of a devotional type thing of something that's growing my spiritual journey, and then I just be quiet and I just listen. Okay, what are you trying to teach me through this? Where do I need to grow? Where do I need to improve? What do I need to shave out of my, whatever that may be? And it's that just slowing down and listening portion that allows me to kind of get reoriented and make sure my compass is in the right position. But that being quiet and still part, about 5 minutes is it's about all I've got in me. And that might be bad, but
I'm not laughing, but I'm laughing. Yeah. Okay. No, like for me too, though, because I've got to go. I've got stuff to do. I don't have time to sit here and breathe. But if I can make myself, and a good friend of mine he is very well versed in meditation, I was like, I can't meditate for 20 minutes. And he's like, girl, you do not start with 20 minutes of meditation. Yeah. You start with like 2. And so, I think I made it to maybe 4 minutes of meditation. And then I stopped. But I probably should get back to it. But it is something that is of value. It's just you have to again, it's something you have to stop and make yourself do, or it has to become part of the routine. Discipline. Yes.
You got to discipline yourself to do it. And the same thing with getting up. Some people are listening to this. Some are going to be like that perform better at not an early time. Some are going to be listening. I can't tell you how many people I was like, I really want to start getting up earlier.
So do it.
And it's like, and I'm like, well, okay, well, what time do you get up now? I was like, well, the latest possible point I can wake up to have the kids ready is at 6:30 or 6:45. And like, I set my alarm and then bam, I was like, what happens? Like, that alarm goes off. I hit snooze. I'm stressed out. Everything's crazy. And I'm like, so when do you want to start getting up? I was like, well, I want to start getting up at 5. I'm like, well, that's a whole hour and a half. Don't just set your alarm for 5 o'clock tomorrow and get up at 5. Then you're going to feel like, you know what, all day long. Get up at 6 for a week. Get up at 6.
Yeah.
I'm already doing it right now. You know, we got that Dopey Challenge coming up, and Jed, they're going to be listening to this podcast right after Christmas.
This will probably be December 26th. So hey, happy Boxing Day.
Yeah, happy Boxing Day and Merry Christmas. Hope your Christmas was merry and bright. But I have part of the Dopey Challenge in Disney. Those 4 days of running. What I always tell people, the hardest part of it is you got to get up about 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 straight days, and go do these runs.
Disney events.
Yeah. So that is why I have started back to the routine, which I think will carry on through of now I am up at the latest 4 o'clock. Well,
so now we know. Now we know why you're doing it.
Well, and then, so when I get there, and I'm going to inch that back, and so when I get there, it'll be like any other day. So just start, if you're going to do it. So, all right, so there are a lot of things in here.
We're
going to talk about some of them. But people are listening to this. Everybody always wants the takeaways. And we're not wrapping up here. But let's start. What can we point people to on, all right, if you're listening to this and you do want to create a morning routine, so that probably means that they are interested in probably getting up a little bit, maybe not 4 o'clock.
A little bit earlier.
A little bit earlier.
Yep.
Let's talk about some nuts and bolts to what should the elements of a good morning routine be?
Okay. So my first one, I know you said you get up and you drink water, but my first one that I love is the whole make your bed. And have you ever heard that speech by, it was a Navy guy, William McRaven?
Yeah, it is. And there's actually a book that he wrote, a book off of that speech that he gave, and it goes through every single point of it, and it is a must read for anyone.
Well, the speech too is awesome, but like here for right now, for what we're talking about, make your bed. Get up and make your bed, because if you do that, you have already done something for the day. So get up, make your bed.
You know what? You know why? And he expounds on this in the chapter. It talks about making your bed. Yes, he does. Because you have got a win. You have won something already that day. You know what most people do? The very first thing in the morning is
what?
They lose. And they break a promise to themselves. Because the night before they set their alarm and said, I'm going to get up at 5:30 a.m. So they set an alarm. Alarm goes off. Bam. Alarm's going off telling you what?
Get up.
It's saying, hey, remember last night you said you were going to get up at 5:30 in the morning. Now you're breaking that promise to yourself and you're hitting snooze. Sometimes, some people, this is what kills me. And I got some people really close to me do this.
No names.
You pull up their phones and their alarms, and they've got like 5 of them.
Oh.
5, 5:10, 5:30, 5:40, and it's like all the way to that point of this is the very last moment I can get up. And I'm like, what are you doing? It's like, well, if the first one goes off and I wake up and I feel good, then I was like, how often does that happen? And I'm like, not really, hardly at all.
So they set them all?
They set them all. Hey, there are people listening to this right now, shaking their head, laughing, thinking, yep, that's how did he know that was me?
There are people who sleep 8 feet from me who set one and hit snooze for an hour.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
If I want to get up at 6:30 and I know Bonnie's opening that day, I know she set her alarm clock for 6. So I listen to it go off 3 times. I get up and it's 6:27
I would
because she has a 9-minute snooze.
I would venture to say, and there's no hard data on this, but I would almost guarantee that more than half the people out there, more often than not, hit snooze on their alarm for their. So we don't have to spend all day talking about the snooze, but make your bed. For your point,
Okay, make your bed. Let's just go back to make your bed.
Make your bed is you're getting a win in the morning.
Get on the scoreboard.
So
getting on the scoreboard.
So you're getting a win on the scoreboard. Okay. So next thing, and notice what I'm going to say next. Like you got to get out of bed, and usually you're going to head to the kitchen and drink some water, like because you're dehydrated from being up all night. Super simple. Make your bed, drink some water. Okay. Then whatever's next. Like for me, I go into the laundry room. I get another load of laundry going. Get the coffee going. While the laundry's going, coffee going, and I unload the dishwasher. Sounds kind of weird to unload the dishwasher, but I do this so that once we start breakfast and the day gets going, everything that's dirty can go back in the dishwasher, and I run it every night before I go to bed. It's just a nice little routine that keeps things very orderly.
Hey, and on that, I called that mindless stuff. And what I meant by that is there are some things like if you're going to go out, if you're going to leave the house and go run for an hour.
I still do this stuff first.
Well, that's what I'm saying is because a cycle of laundry might take an hour.
Right.
So you can start that, leave. By the time you come back, it's done. As soon as you walk in the door, throw it in the dryer, go shower, and these things are happening.
Right.
This productivity is going on behind the scenes. That's mindless. That's just part
Correct.
of the routine. That's keeping the household going as you are accomplishing your goals. Keep
right. Going. Okay. So those are kind of like the basics that I do first. And then I am either going to go to my desk or I'm going to go exercise. After those first few things have happened, then, gonna get my child up, start making lunch, making breakfast, feeding the dogs. Those are all things that have to happen before I leave the house. But then, like this morning, for instance, my routine changed a little because I was going to be gone all day. I was going to go run. I was going to shower at the gym. Then I was going to come down here and do podcasting. So I was like, oh, I need to have food with me. I need to have drink with me. I need to have clean clothes with me. I need to have a towel. So, I need to have my computer. So I needed to pack up a lot more stuff than I normally do when I'm leaving the house. And that got me a little behind this morning.
Which she should have had done the night before.
Right.
Well, but
if she believed like I do that it starts the night before.
But I do believe what you said about it starting the night before. But here is where my problem is at night when everybody's coming into the house between 8:30 and 9:30. Like our house was a flurry of activity. And it's like, okay. And I said, I'm just going to bed. I don't care. I'm going to bed. Good night. I left the stuff on my desk that I had been working on. Like I finished one task and I was like, in my mind, I wanted to make my list for today. I wanted to do this. I wanted to do that. I would have been at my desk another hour and a half. And I still would have gotten up at 4 this morning. And so like, I have to be really careful with my time management at night so I can get in bed. And when you start the next day, the night before, I feel like I just extend my night before. So is it better to do it when I have to in the morning and get it done really quick and risk being late, or do it all the night before? Probably I should do more the night before, but you have to find a balance somewhere. Like, where am I going to lose the sleep, in the morning or at night? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's and that's what I think I struggle with, and I'm sure everybody else struggles with it. Mm-hmm. I like to think I'm super organized, but it doesn't matter. Time is just slipping away, whether you're at your desk in the morning or at night. It doesn't matter. You've got to have like that routine that you stick to.
So the first thing you got to do is wake up,
make your bed,
drink your water. And I think water there, and this is, we're trying to give you guys a framework here. So with the water, obviously you're coming out, you want to be dehydrated. There's some other things you can do. You actually turned me on to the
LMNT.
Well, yeah, I drink the Element. Yeah, I do drink that as an electrolyte drink, but you called it somebody gave you the idea, but it's the apple cider vinegar.
Oh yes.
Little bit of salt, Himalayan pink salt, and water and lemon, squeezed lemon
and cranberry juice without sugar.
Yeah, and
yeah.
That's something, taking that in, something like that.
I haven't been doing that, but that is a really good. Probably come January 1st, I'll go back to that.
We got a New Year's resolution over here.
That's not a New Year's resolution.
We can't make those.
I'm not making a New Year's resolution. I'm just going to make minor improvements in my routine
on
January 1st.
On a set random day and time.
On a set random day and time.
Yes, exactly.
I think the point there is it is very important very quickly to start rehydrating your body.
Yes.
And all right, then after that, you spoke on it, and I called it the mindless stuff of if there are things that you, and I want you to think about this in terms of if there are things that you can get going that are behind the scenes things that are going, tell our store managers this. Always, you've got a whole team of people. If you've got 6 projects you're going to be working on, are there things that can be going on that you're not involved in behind the scenes that are not taking up any of your time, that are leading you towards your goals? And on these mindless things, these are things that you're just getting going that are not taking much energy at all, much brain energy, much any kind of energy of unloading the dishwasher, loading it back, starting it, getting a load of clothes going, and then bam, that stuff's going. You're off working out or reading, whatever it is you're doing to invest in yourself. And then when you come back or you get done with that, these things are done. Okay, got a load of clothes done, got a load of dishes done. And so keeping up my household responsibilities as we're doing these other things. And all this is going on, again, in this
Which
morning.
I honestly think that having, whatever element of cleanup that you want in the morning, but to have things be orderly in your house will aid in your routine.
Oh, 100%.
If you're living in just a mess, it makes it hard to function efficiently.
Yeah, and I think these same things can go along with, we can train our children in their morning routines. Before they leave the house, should their bed be made and there be no clothes on their floor and their room be clean?
Yes.
Yeah, should be. But you're gonna have to spend the time to train them that. But study after study has been done of things, what it does to your brain living in a very unorganized mess, that it's very, very hard to focus and get going forward. Okay, after the mindless stuff gets going, again, you're not investing a lot of time on that. You're just getting it going. More the goal-oriented stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Where he talked about, okay, if you're, and this is going to be different for everyone. If you're training for a marathon, if you're training for an Ironman, if you're training for those kind of things, okay, I have got to make use of these early morning hours. And so that is going to be something huge for whatever your goals are. If you're not training for something huge like that, this may be the time where you are investing in yourself more mentally and spiritually than as much physically, but you're taking advantage of these goal-oriented things where you're investing in yourself. Is that fair to say?
Yes. And I would say, especially if you're training for something specific, like this time in the morning, that's not optional. That is your time to train.
Yeah. And one thing that we didn't mention, and I think is hugely important, and it always helps me in the morning when I do this, is gratitude. Use that word gratitude, of taking some time in the morning before the chaos starts to, whether it be journal, and I say the word journal, and some people that just like, that now Jed lights up. He's like, now you're talking, now you're speaking my language over there.
I don't necessarily write it down. I do have notes all over the place.
Yeah, it's got notes all over the place. But if you've got a journal of things that you are thankful for, people that you are thankful for.
You really keep like a journal?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, of things that I keep one of I keep a journal of things and people that specifically I am praying for.
Oh, wow.
And then I keep a journal of answered, going back of those things have those things come to fruition.
Wow.
And then of things and people that I'm thankful for.
Wow.
And
that's much deeper than my gratitude in the morning.
Does not take much time at all. Now, don't.
No, my gratitude doesn't either. I usually in the morning, like my gratitude, it comes when I turn on the coffee pot and I make some coffee, and I'm just grateful for that coffee every morning.
Well,
and then I enjoy the process of making the coffee and not spilling it all over the place. And I'm just like, oh, coffee. I mean, like it's my moment.
Yep.
And we all have different things we're grateful for, but mine is coffee in the morning. So,
my gratitude for coffee is different because Bonnie makes mine every morning. She brings it to me.
But, oh my gosh,
Right.
what kind of gratitude is that?
Well, and it's because I can't make hers. I can't physically tolerate getting it sweet enough for her.
Oh.
And she can make mine. And it's awesome. On Thursday.
But it's so sweet.
On Thursdays, I had a really good friend, fellow sports writer, who brought me a coffee cup from the Masters. Several years back, and I noticed a pattern. I guess it's been a year and a half ago now when I noticed a pattern. Bonnie would bring me my Master's cup on Thursday. Usually we're off on Thursdays. Sometimes we're working, but it's always that Master's cup on Thursday morning. I said, why are you bringing this to me on Thursday? I said, I'm just curious. I don't care. She said, because that's when golf tournaments start.
some would call her bringing that to you a tradition like no other.
Yeah, you're right. It is. That's what I'm grateful for. That somebody thinks enough about me to make my coffee the way I like it and bring it to me in a special cup because she knows it means something to me at that point.
But that is, I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah.
It is. And I mean, I did.
And it makes you feel good.
Yeah.
It does. That little nothing every morning.
But it's not.
No, it's not
really,
at all.
It's really something. I had a friend of mine, and she used to always tell me how her husband made her coffee every morning. And she was just like, oh, my husband brings me coffee every morning. He brings it into the bathroom when I'm getting ready. And I was just like, wow. And so, a couple weeks ago, like I asked my husband, I was like, hey, hello, her husband makes her coffee. How about making me some coffee? And he was like, I'm not getting up at 4:00 to make you coffee. And I was like, oh, yeah, okay, good point. But anyway, so I'm not going to have anybody making my coffee, but it is really nice. And I really have thought about that a lot. I don't know why that just stuck with me when she told me that, because I just thought that was so nice and so kind. Kevin, you can start making your wife some coffee.
Yeah. Yeah, well, she doesn't drink coffee. She doesn't drink coffee like I like it.
Okay. That's about how you like it.
I make coffee for me, and then I've got 4 daughters and my wife who all go to Starbucks.
Right.
Oh.
And get coffee.
Okay, never mind.
Bonnie makes my coffee, and then she makes her milkshake, and we go about our day.
Exactly.
Nice.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't even want to. I don't even want to get started.
Sorry, we got sidetracked. But the thing is gratitude. Like, let's come back to gratitude. We're all grateful for some little things. Mm-hmm. Like Kevin's might be more meaningful than my coffee, but Jed and I are just going to be thankful for coffee.
It's really not. Don't make what I just said out to be more than it's not. It is. I tie mine together because
I like that though.
And when I tie them together, it's like this. Okay, when I am praying for people in the morning. I get people. I'm connected to so many people. I get a ton. So, hey, would you be praying for my mom? She's got dementia and it's something really hard on my dad. Be other people in the community. Hey, like there was someone we were connected with in our neighborhood that was had cancer and a lot of times I would actually use it during my time when I would run in the neighborhood. That would be a time I would do dual things where sometimes I would be, you can, don't overcomplicate these things. You can meditate and pray and do those kind of things as you're out running or walking or whatever it is you're doing. But, I tie these things together because generally when you are praying for people, something is coming in their life that's not the best in the world. And
this is true. Then
you turn right back around and you're like, okay, maybe that problem of a smart aleck preteen or teenager, maybe that's not as big a problem as I was really making this out to be. Mm. And
yeah.
And so I give Lord, I just thank you that you've for whatever reason you've blessed us with good health. And as you're praying for someone else who's going through the trial, it's that gratitude that helps you to realize that, hey, got a lot to be thankful for. And even in the really hard times, got a lot to be thankful for.
Yes.
And it kind of orients you towards your day. So gratitude. What else are we missing?
In terms of
Anything.
our morning routine.
You got 15 pages of notes.
Oh, the other thing do you want to wait to talk about Eat Your Frog?
No, you hammer it out.
Okay.
I'm here for commentary.
So the Eat Your Frog, I had never heard of this before I started doing this research. And of course, I'd say to Kevin, hey, how about this Eat Your Frog? And Kevin's like, oh, I've read that book. Of course he has. I haven't. I've never even heard of it. But basically the whole premise of it is that eating your frog is doing the thing that is going to move you forward first thing in the morning. And so of course, we are obviously somewhat focused on our training and sports. So we're going to be like, hey, we got to go get a workout in first thing. That's what's most important. That is not most important for everybody. I realize that's just kind of the space that we're in right here. But I think the point of this Eat Your Frog is doing it first thing, like doing what is going to move you forward, or spending 15 minutes doing something that's really important first thing. Like just knock out that task, spend 15 minutes. I can't even remember if this is where that was with the 15 minutes. I don't think that was it, but it doesn't matter. I think like breaking things down and attacking them, even if it's just for a little bit first thing in the morning. Like I'm trying to do inventory right now for all my Malone coaching gear. And I try to do a little bit of it every day. And if I just do a little bit, like it doesn't seem so daunting. Now, if I look at that room and tried to do it all in one day, it might be another story.
She's coming at us, talking to us about
inventory being frustrating.
I cannot. I walked in here today and I can't imagine doing inventory here.
If you want to walk next door with me in a minute and hunt the vest that it says we have that I haven't been able to put hands on yet, it'll be fun, I promise.
That's what you're getting to do after you're done with them.
Okay, so back to Eat Your Frog. So why did they call it Eat Your Frog if you read the book?
Well, it is that very first thing of what if you think about eating a frog, how pleasant does that sound?
It sounds terrible.
Sounds terrible. Okay, we all have things we wake up in the morning and we have things that we dread.
But not my workouts.
Not your I say
I don't dread my workouts. You might.
No, I say that you dread. I say that are hard. This is something hard today that I've got to do.
Okay. Yeah.
You know what? I'm gonna sleep in a little bit and get my day going, and I'll eventually get to that thing. And we all know what that leads to.
You don't do it.
It's kicking the can down the road. The point is that you're going to, whatever it is that you know that you need to do, that hard thing that you need to do, that thing that might taste bad initially in your mouth, go ahead and eat that thing. And if you'll go ahead and eat that thing, do that thing, it's going to make the other, it's like that compounding effect of, Charles Duhigg talks about keystone habits of if you will do certain things, it causes other good things to happen. And point being here of if you will go ahead and do that hard thing in the morning, get it. Hey, how do we end up do hard things today and tomorrow will take care of itself.
I know.
If you'll do that hard thing early in the morning, that next thing is going to take care of itself. You're going to be better.
You will be because you're not worried about it.
Yeah, you're not worried about it.
It's not hanging over your head all day long.
Yeah, and so get that thing, whatever that thing is, schedule that in those. That's why I talk about those early morning hours. Of I'm driving home from the high school that I was at on that track this morning. Hardly nobody out on the road. Nobody. My phone's not bzz, 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 making that buzzing.
You didn't have to look at me now and go, "Oh, I didn't do my workout yet."
None of that stuff's going on. And then you get back, and it's like even when you walk into the house, nobody's up yet.
Yeah.
It's peaceful.
You can have a hot shower because they didn't use all the hot water yet.
Yeah,
I mean it's all good.
All those things are going on, and you've killed that one. You've killed that big thing to start with.
That's exactly why I do deadline related stuff first thing. What constitutes first thing in the morning for me? We've discussed it being different, but it's because if I haven't done it yet and it's on deadline, it's because I don't want to do it. Mm-hmm. So I'll go ahead and get it done because I put it off as long as I can put it off now, and I got to get it needs to be out of my life.
Yeah.
So that's why I scheduled that for deadline writing.
And it takes stress off.
It does. It takes a lot of stress off.
It's very stressful.
You don't have to worry about it anymore because it's done.
Yeah, it's very stressful. And you've lived in a deadline environment your whole life.
Yeah, absolutely.
Writing.
Absolutely.
It is a very stressful environment to know, oh, I've got something. Think about this. Let's talk about workouts. It's 5, 6 o'clock, and you are finishing your work day. You've got
your work day at night.
Yeah, your work
5, 6 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're finishing up your work day. Okay, and so you're gonna be making yourself towards home. You didn't do your hour workout in the morning, so you've got that facing you. Now you're balancing that with, but I hadn't seen kids or wife all day, so should I just go to the gym or go to track and work out and not eat dinner with them? Well, they're going to have homework they need help with and got this and this and this and all these different things. It's very stressful.
Yeah.
Because then you're like, okay, how do I prioritize these things?
Well, if you go by the whole family first thing, you need to go home.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and I always have loved that put family first. Like whenever you have a decision to make, it's really pretty easy. Okay, let me think about it. Family first. Oh, nope, not going to go do that workout. And so that's where you start to get into trouble is if you haven't done it in the morning and then at night, really. And let's face it, most of the time you can't leave work early to go do your workout because something always happens in the afternoon that you have to be there for. You have meetings or calls or whatever, you're working. But if we back up a little bit, like with the whole morning routine, and the one thing that you said about work, you're at work until 5, 6 o'clock, whatever, and then you're going to try to go to the gym. The one thing we didn't talk about with the morning routine is about leaving yourself enough time realistically to get where you need to go. And when you start backing it up and thinking like, okay, how long does it take you to get from your house to here with traffic on a day when traffic is bad? Because you always got to give yourself that amount of time. And I think a lot of people aren't good about really budgeting in what it takes. Like in my mind, it takes me 10 minutes to take a shower and get ready. In reality, it takes me 25 minutes. And so I have to be more realistic when I'm scheduling my morning so that I know if I need to leave my house showered, clean, dressed, that's going to be 25 minutes.
And leaving margin.
Yes.
Always leaving a little margin in your schedule for the things that you don't anticipate. There's some things you do know, but then there's some things that you don't know for those unanticipated things. But control what you can control.
Yes.
And you can really control the mornings.
I get to ball games when I'm going a minimum of an hour ahead of time.
Just in case something happens or...
Because there are two kind of people in the world. One is what could possibly go wrong, and the other is everything.
Oh, I'm the what could possibly go wrong.
I'm everything. Everything.
That is true.
I'm always like, I can make it. I can make it work. Then I'm like, no, I can't.
Every single thing can go sideways. I want to have enough time in case it does.
But that is a much more relaxing way to plan ahead. And I feel like sometimes mornings can get away from you if you don't have a good grip on. And since my mornings aren't always the same, if I don't have a good grip on how much time I need to do my workout, take care of the dogs, get everything ready, you can get in trouble in the morning. So planning your time out is important.
My crippling anxiety would disagree that it's a better way, but it's a way anyway.
Well, I think
it's a better way.
I think you got to figure out what's the time frame that you have complete control of. And I know, like in my life, there's really 2 hours in the day from 4 to 6 in the morning that I have complete control of. The second that these kids, they start getting up, it's when anything can happen.
Yes.
And one of them wakes up sick. And it just anything can happen. Those 2 hours right there, I have complete control over. And it is, wherever those hours are in your life, I think you need to hopefully you can implement somewhat of a morning routine in that. So
Write it down, right? I think writing your routine down, like what you want it to be, then maybe taking a couple of things away and putting an amount of time next to each task. So you kind of know, oh, I do have time to do this or I don't. Mm-hmm. Because otherwise you start getting up and you start doing all these things. You're like, whoa, this is actually 3 hours worth of stuff versus the 2 hours that I have or the hour or hour and a half. So I think really being mindful of how much time it takes to do each thing, or if you have to drive somewhere to do your workout. Also considering, taking your clothes with you to go do a workout and showering there and then going straight to work kind of thing, if you can. For me, that's not really an option because I have a child. But, it's just making the morning work for you instead of you just scrambling every day and getting, if you get behind in the morning, you're behind the rest of the day.
Yeah. Win the day by winning your morning.
And don't forget to eat. We did not mention that in here, but eating something in the morning is really good for you.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be determined on what kind of a nutrition plan are you following. Like some like to eat first thing in the morning, some like to wait and like to get a workout in before. It just depending on where you are in that. But it is, before you head out to wherever you're going, you need to get that good nutrition started. Or once you get behind, if you get behind in the morning and then you're stark raving, just starving by lunchtime,
right,
you're going to start making bad decisions.
Right. So, even if you grab something and take it with you, but food should be on there. And we totally forgot that because we were talking about everything else.
Yep.
So I didn't want to, leave something out. I'm just kind of looking through all of my lists that I made
got a
before.
List.
I think we've covered pretty much everything. There's nothing that's popping up that I feel like, oh my gosh,
I think it's a great framework.
We failed everyone.
I think number one, getting up and try to break that habit of hitting snooze. Get up, get out of the bed, make your bed.
Mel Robbins, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Launch yourself out of bed like a rocket ship.
Yep. I mean, it's
just
amazing.
Think about that. I know that sounds ridiculous, but I love it.
Yeah, I mean, she's got a video that talks about how when her life completely changed was in that very thing you talk about she was watching something on TV and like a rocket ship went off, and it is that 5-second rule where you count down and you're stopping that bad thought and you're focusing towards something positive. Get up, make your bed. Get some water, some kind of hydration inside of you. That could be a point where you could, if you wanted to start, get a little food in you as well. Get the mindless stuff going, the stuff going on behind the scenes that's not taking your time, that is moving your household towards where it needs to go. Then your goal-oriented stuff, whether that's physical, mental, spiritual, whatever that may be, that's when you're going to take advantage of those. Invest in yourself. This is you time. It's okay to be selfish in this time, to take care of yourself. And gratitude, those gratitude things of being, what are the things that you're grateful for? And I think if you do these things, it's really going to, like you just said with the rocket ship, and like Mel Robbins says, that rocket ship will blast off and take you into your day. And it's amazing. If you win your days in the morning, it's amazing how your day seems to be there's just so much more time, it seems, in the day once you've killed all these things, eating that frog early in the morning for that. So you got anything else for us?
No,
Coach?
I just think, I just encourage everyone to take a really good look at their morning routine. Do what you can to make some positive changes there, especially going into the new year. You don't have to start it necessarily like on New Year's, maybe start it the week before, or try to make a couple of changes that are going to have a positive impact on your productivity. But I think that just doing a few little things can make a huge difference. So I encourage everybody to go after it. Make your list.
And we always end saying, do hard things today and tomorrow will take care of itself.
It's so appropriate right now.
It is appropriate. And we're going to add to that today, just for today.
Okay, Kevin's going to take it.
Do hard things in the morning, and the rest of the day will take care of itself.